And they said, we shall certainly give them. We shall certainly give them. And they spread out a garment, and it beside the crescent ornament and the pendants and purple robes which were on the sovereigns of the Midian, and beside the chain that were around the camel's neck. And Gideon made it into a shoulder garment and put it up in his city, Ophrah. And all Israel went warring after it there. And it came a snare to Gideon and to his house. Thus Midian was humbled before the children of Israel, and they lifted their hands no more. And the land had rest for 40 years in the days of Gideon. And Jerubbaal, son of Joash, went and dwelt in his own house. And Gideon had 70 sons who were his own offspring, for he had many wives. And his concubine, who was in Shechem, also bore him a son, and he gave him the name Abimelech. Gideon and Gideon, son of Joash, died at a good old age, and was buried in the tomb of Joash his father, in Ophrah of the Israelites. And it came to be, when Gideon was dead, that the children of Israel again was warring after the Baals, and made Baal-bereth their mighty one. Thus the children of Israel did not remember Yahweh their Elohim, who had delivered them into the hands of their enemies round about. And nor did they show kindness to the house of Jerubbaal, Gideon, according to all the good which he did for Israel. And Abimelech, son of Jerubbaal, went to Shechem to his mother's brother, and spoke with them and with all the clan of the house of his mother's father, saying, Please speak in hearing of all the master of Shechem, which is better for you that 70 men, all the sons of Jerubbaal, rule over you, or that one man rule over you, and you shall remember that I am your own flesh and bone. And his mother, spoke all these words concerning him in the hearing of all the masters of Shechem, and their hearts inclined towards Abimelech, for they said, He is our brother. And they gave him 70 pieces of silver from the house of Baal-bereth, with which Abimelech hired worthless and reckless men, and they followed him. And he went to his father's house at Ophrah, and slew his brother, the 70 sons of Jerubbaal, on one stone. But Jotham, the youngest son of Jerubbaal, was left, because he hid himself. And all the masters of Shechem gathered together, and all the Berith Milo. And they went and made Abimelech sovereign beside the terebinth tree at the post that was in Shechem. And they informed Jotham, and he went and stood on top of Mount Gerizim, and lifted his voice and cried out, and said to them, Hear me, your masters of Shechem, and my good fruit, and go to sway over trees. Then the tree said to the vine, Come reign over us. And then And the vine said to them, Shall I leave my new wine, which rejoice mighty ones and men, and go to sway over trees? Then all the trees said to the bramble, Come, reign over us. And the bramble said to the tree, If in truth you anoint me as sovereign over you, come take shelter in my shade. But if not, let fire come out of the bramble and devour the cedar of Lebanon. And now, if you have acted in truth and integrity in appoint Abimelech to reign, and if you have acted with Jerubbaal and his house, and have done to him as his hand did to you. For my father fought for you and risked his life, and delivered you out of the hands of Midian. But you have risen up 70 sons on one stone, and appointed Abimelech, the son of his female servant, to reign over the masters of Shechem, because he is your brother. If then you have acted in truth and integrity with Jerubbaal and with his house this day, then rejoice in Abimelech, and let him also rejoice in you. But if not, let fire come into Abimelech and devour the masters of Shechem and Beth Milo, and let fire come out from the master of Shechem and from Beth Milo and devour Abimelech.
Chapter 9, verses 21 of Judges. And Jotham ran away and fled and went to Beer and dwelt there for fear and of Abimelech his brother. When Abimelech had reigned 3 years over Israel, the Elohim sent an evil spirit between Abimelech and the men of Shechem, and the men of Shechem dwelt treacherously with Abimelech, that the cruelty done to the 70 sons of Jerubbaal might come, and their blood be laid upon Abimelech their brother, which slew them upon the men of Shechem, which aided him in the killing of his brethren. And the men of Shechem set liars in wait for him into the top of the mountains, and they robbed and all came along out the way by them, and it was told Abimelech. And Gad the son of Ebed came with his brethren and went over to Shechem, and the men of Shechem put their confidence in him. And they went out into the fields and gathered their vineyards and trod on the grapes and made merry and went in the house of their mighty ones and did eat and drink and cast Abimelech. And Gad the son of Ebed said, Who is Abimelech and who is Shechem, that we should serve him? Is not he the son of Jerubbaal? And Zerubbabel his officer served the men of Hamor, the father of Shechem. For why should we serve him? If only these people were under my hand, then would I remove Abimelech. And he said to Abimelech, Increase thine army and come out. And when Zebul and the ruler of the city heard the word of Gaal the son of Ebed, his anger was kindled. And he sent messengers unto Abimelech privately, saying, Behold, Gaal the son of Ebed and his brethren become to close up, and the people that were with him from lying in wait. And when Gaal saw the people, he said to Zebul, Behold, there come people down from the top of the mountains. And Zebul said unto him, Thou seest the shadow of the mountains as if were men. And Gaal spake again and said, See, there come people down by the middle of the land, and another company come along by the plain of the Meonim. And then said Zebul unto him, Where is now thy mouth? Why thou saidest, Who is Abimelech, and we should serve him? Is not this the people that thou hast despised? Go out, I pray now, and fight with them. And Gaal went out before the men of Shechem and fought with Abimelech. And Abimelech chased him, and he fled before him, and many were overthrown and wounded, even unto entering of the gate. And Abimelech dwelt at Arumah, and Zebul and thrust out Gaal and his brethren, that they should not dwell in Shechem. And it came to pass on the morrow that the people went out into the field, and they told Abimelech, and he took the people and divided them into 3 companies, and laid wait in the field, and looked, and behold, the people were come forth out of the city. And he rose up against them and smote them. And Abimelech and the company that was with him rushed forward and stood in the entering of the gate of the city. And the 2 other companies ran upon all the people that were in the field and slew them. And Abimelech fought against the city all that day, and he took the city and slew the people that were therein, and beaten down the city and sowed it with salt. And when all the men of the tower of Shechem heard that they entered into an hold of the house of the mighty ones of Berith, and it was told Abimelech that all men of the tower of Shechem were gathered together. And Abimelech got him up to Mount Zalmon, and he and all the people that were with him. And Abimelech took an axe in his hand, and cut down a bough from the tree, and took it and laid it on his shoulder, and said unto the people that were with him, What ye have seen me do, make hasten and do as I have done. And all the people likewise cut down every man his bow, and followed. And Abimelech put them to the hold, and set the hold on fire upon them, so that all the men of the tower of Shechem died also, about 1,000 men and women. Then went Abimelech to Thebez, and encamped against Thebez, and took it. But there was a strong tower within the city, and thither fled all the men and women and all of the city, and shut up to the top of the tower. And Abimelech came unto the tower, and fought against it, and went hard unto the door of the tower, to burn it with fire. And a certain woman cast a piece of a milestone upon the Abimelech's head, and all to break his skull. And then he called her city unto a young man, his armor bearer, and he said unto him, Draw the sword and slay me, that men say not if you me. A woman slew him, and his young man thrust him through, and he died. And when the men of Israel saw that Abimelech was dead, they departed every man unto his place. Thus Elohim rendered the wickedness of Abimelech, which he did unto his father, in slaying his 70 brethren. And all the evil of the men of Shechem did Elohim render upon their heads, and upon their came the curse of Jotham the son of Jerubbaal. Judges chapter number 10. And after Abimelech there rose a Tola son of Pua, son of Doda, a man of Issachar, to serve Israel, and they dwelt in Shamir in the mountain of Ephraim. And he ruled Israel 23 years. Then he died and went buried in Shamir. And after him arose Yair, a Gileadite, and he ruled Israel 22 years. And he had 30 sons who rode on 30 donkeys, and they had 30 towns which are called Hawoth Yair to this day, which are in the land of Gilead. And Yair died and was buried in Carmon. And the children of Israel again did evil in the eyes of Yahweh, and served the Baals and the Ashtoreths, and the mighty ones of Aram, and the mighty ones of Sidon, and the mighty ones of Moab, and the mighty ones of the children of Ammon, and the mighty ones of the Perishites. And the children of Israel gathered together and encamped in Mizpah. And the people, the head of Gilead, said to each other, Let the man who is in the first to fight against the children of Ammon be head and over all the inhabitants of Gilead. Judges chapter number 11. And Jephthah the Gileadite was a mighty brave one, but he was the son of Hur, and Gilead brought forth Jephthah, And the wife of Gilead bore sons, and when his wife's sons grew up, they drove Jephthah out and said to him, "You shall not have an inheritance in the house of our father, for you are not the son of, for you are the son of another woman." And Jephthah fled his brothers and dwelt in the land of Tob. The worthless men banded together with Jephthah and went out with him. And it came to be sometimes later that the children of Ammon fought against Israel. And it came to be, when the children of Ammon fought against Israel, then the elders of Gilead went to bring Jephthah out of the land of Tob. And they said to Jephthah, Come, and you shall be a commander, and let us fight against the children of Ammon. But Jephthah said to the elders of Gilead, Did you not hate me and drive me from my father's house? And why have you come to me now when you are in trouble? And the elders of Gilead said to Jephthah, That is the reason we have turned to you, that you shall go with us and fight against the children of Ammon, and be our head over all the inhabitants of Gilead. And Jephthah said to the elders of Gilead, If you take me back home to fight against the children of Ammon, and Yahweh gives them to me, and I am not to be your head. And the elders of Gilead said to Jephthah, Yahweh is witness between us, if you do not do according to your words. Then Jephthah went with the elders of Gilead, and the people put him over them as head and commander. And Jephthah spoke all his words before Yahweh in Mizpah. And Jephthah sent a messenger to the sovereign of the children of Ammon, saying, What is between you and me, that you have come to fight against me in my land? And the sovereign of the children of Ammon said to the messengers of Jephthah, Because Israel took my land when they came up out of Mitzrayim, from the Arnon as far as the Yaakov and to the Yarden, and now give back those lands in peace. But Jephthah again sent messengers to the sovereign of the children of Ammon, and said to him, This is what Jephthah said, Israel did not take the land of Moab, nor the land of the children of Ammon, for when they came up from Mitzrayim, and Israel walked through the wilderness as far as the Sea of Reeds, and came to Kadesh, then Israel sent messengers to the sovereign of Edom, saying, Please let me pass over through your land. But the sovereign of the Edom would not listen, and they would send the sovereign of Moab, but he refused. So Israel stayed at Kadesh. Then they went through the wilderness and around the land of Edom and the land of Moab, and came to the east side of the land of Moab, and encamped beyond Arnon. But they did not enter the border of Moab, for Arnon was the border of Moab. And Israel sent messengers to Sihon, sovereign of the Amorite, sovereign of the Heshbon, and Israel said to him, Please let us pass over through your land into our place. But Sihon did not trust Israel to pass over through his border. And Sihon gathered all his people together, and they encamped in Yahath and fought against Israel. And Yahweh Elohim of Israel gave Sihon and all his people into his hand of Israel, and smote them. So Israel took possession of all the lands of the Amorites and the inhabitant of the land. Then thus they took possession of all the borders of the Amorites, for Arnon to the Yaakov, to the Abok, and from the wilderness to the Yarden. And now Yahweh Elohim of Israel has driven out the Amorites from before his people Israel. Should you then possess it? Whatever Chemosh your mighty one gives you to possess, do you not possess it? And all that which Yahweh Elohim takes possession of before us, we possess. And now are you any better than Barak, son of Zippor, sovereign of Moab? Did he ever strive against Israel? Did he ever fight against them? While Israel dwelt in Heshbon and its villages, and in Arwa and its villages, and in all the cities along the bank of Arnon for 300 years. Why did you not recover them with that time? So I have not sinned against you, but you are doing me evil by fighting against me. Let Yahweh the judge today between the children of Israel and the children of Ammon. But the sovereign of the children of Ammon did not listen to the words which Jephthah sent him. And the ruach of Yahweh came upon Jephthah, and he passed through Gilead and Manasseh, and passed through Mitzvah of Gilead, and from Mitzvah of Gilead he passed on towards the children of Ammon. And the Jephthah and made a vow to Yahweh and said, If you give the children of Ammon into my hands, Then it shall be that whatever comes out of the door of my house to meet me, when I return in peace from the children of Ammon, shall belong to Yahweh, and I shall offer it up as a burnt offering. Jephthah then passed on toward the children of Ammon to fight against thee, and Yahweh gave them into his hand. And he smote them from Aroer and as far Minith, 20 cities, and to Abel Kerameh, and with a very great smiting, that the children of Ammon were humbled before the children of Israel. And Jephthah came to his house to Mizpah, and saw his daughter coming out to meet him with tremor and dancing. Now except for her, he had neither son nor daughter. And it came to be when he saw her that he tore 1, 2. And it came. Jephthah then passed toward the children, and he smote, and Jephthah then passed on toward the children of Ammonite to fight against them. And Jephthah came to his house at Mizpah, and saw his daughter coming out to meet him with tremors and dancing. Now except for her, he had neither son nor daughter. And it came to be when he saw her that he tore his garment and said, O my daughter, you have brought me very low, and you are among those who trouble me. And I have given my word to Yahweh, and I am unable to turn back. And she said to him, My father, if you have given your word to Yahweh, do to me according to what he has gone out of your mouth, because Yahweh has taken vengeance for you upon your enemies, the children of your Ammon. And she said to her father, And let this be done to me. Let me alone for 2 months, and let me go and wander on the mountains and bewail and my maidenhood, my friends and I. Then he said, Go. And he sent her away from 2 months, and she went with her friends and bewailed her and maidenhood on the mountains. And it came to be at the end of 2 months that she returned to her father, and he did to her as he had vowed. And she knew no man, and it became a law in Israel that the daughter of Israel went every year for 4 days to lament the daughter of Jephthah the Gileadite.
Judges chapter number 12, verse number 1. And the men of Ephraim gathered together and passed over towards Saphon, and said of Jephthah, Why did you pass over to fight against the children of Ammon, and did not call us to go with you? We are going to burn your house over you with fire. And Jephthah said to them, My people and I were in a great struggle with the children of Ammon, and when I called you, you did not save me of either hands, and I saw that you would not save me. Then I took my life in my hands and went over against the children of Ammon, and the Yahweh said, Give them into my hand. And why have you come up to me today and to fight against me? Jephthah then gathered together all the men of Gilead and fought against Ephraim, and the men of Gilead smote Ephraim, because they had said, You Gileadites are fugitives of Ephraim, in the midst of Ephraim, in the midst of Manasseh. And Gilead captured the force of Yalden that faced Ephraim. And it came to be when the fugitives of Ephraim said, Let me pass over. Then the men of Gilead said to him, You are Ephraimite. If he said no, then they would say to him, Please say Shiberoth. And they would say Shiberoth, for he was unable to pronounce it right. Then they seized him and slew him in the fords of the Yalden. And at that time there fell 42,000 Ephraimites. And Jephthah ruled Israel 6 years. And Jephthah at the Gilead died and was buried in one of the cities of Gilead. And after him Itzbaal Bethlehem ruled Israel. And he came to have 30 sons and 30 daughters. He sent abroad and brought 30 daughters of his sons and ruled Israel for 7 years. And his son died, he was buried by Bethlehem. And after him Elon the Zebulonites ruled Israel, and he ruled the Israelites 10 years. And Elon the Zebulite died and was buried at Elon in the land of Zebulun. And after him Abdon, son of Hillel the Pilaphonite, ruled Israel. And he had 40 sons and 30 grandsons who rode on 70 young donkeys. And he ruled Israel 88 years. And Abdon, son of Hillel the Philaphonite, died and was buried in Phirathon in the land of Ephraim, in the mountains of Amalekites. Judges or Shoftim, chapter number 13, verse number 1. And again the children of Israel did evil in the sight of Yahweh, so Yahweh gave them into the hand of the Philistines for 40 years. And there was a certain man from Sora, of the clan of the Danites, whose name was Manoah, and his wife was barren and had not borne. And a messenger of Yahweh appeared to the woman and said to her, See now you are barren and have not borne, and you shall conceive, and you shall bear a son. And now please God, and do not drink wine and strong drink, and do not eat anything unclean. For look, you are conceiving and bearing a son. And then no razor come upon his head. For the youth is a Nazarite to Elohim. From the womb to her husband, saying, A man of Elohim came to me, and his appearance was like the appearance of the messenger of Elohim, very awesome. But I did not ask him where he was from, and he did not declare to me his name. And he said to me, See, and you are you conceiving and bearing a son? And now drink no wine and strong drink, and eat anything unclean, for the youth is a Nazarite of Elohim from the womb to the day of his death. And Manoah prayed to Yahweh and said, O Yahweh, please let the man of Elohim whom you sent to come to us again and teach us what to do for the youth who is to be born. And Elohim listened to the voice of Manoah, and the messenger of Elohim came into the woman again as she was sitting in the field. But Manoah, her husband, was not with her. And the woman learned hurriedly and informed her husband and said to him, See, he has appeared to me, the man who came to me the other day. And Manoah arose and went after his wife, and he came to the man, and he said to him, Are you the man who spoke to this woman? And he said, I am. And Manoah said, Now let your words come true, what is to be the rule of the youth's life and his work. And the messenger of Yahweh said to Manoah, Let the woman guard all that I say to her. Let her not eat anything that comes from the vine, neither let her drink wine or strong drink or eat anything unclean. Let her guard all that which I have commanded her. And Manoah said to the messenger of Yahweh, Priest, let us detain you and prepare a young goat for you. And the messenger of Yahweh said to Manoah, Though you detain me, I do not eat your food. But if you offer a burnt offering, offer it to Yahweh. For Manoah did not know he was the messenger of Yahweh. Then Manoah said to the messenger of Yahweh, What is your name? When your words comes true, that we shall esteem you. And the messenger of Yahweh said to him, Why do you ask me my name, since it's wondrous? And Manoah took the young goat and with the grain offering and offered upon the rock to Yahweh. And he did wondrously while Manoah and his wife looked on. And it came to be, as the flame went up to the Shamaim from the altar, that the messenger of Yahweh went in the flame of the altar. And Manoah and his wife were watching, and they fell on their faces on the ground. And the messenger of Yahweh did not appear anymore to Manoah and his wife. He would not have accepted a burnt offering and a grain offering from your hands, nor would he have shown us all this, nor would he have let us to hear the likes of this. So the woman bore a son and called his name Shimshon. And this child grew, and Yahweh barak him, and the work of Elohim of Yahweh began to move him at Mahaneh, done between Soal and Estaol. Shoftim or Judges chapter number 14 verse number 1. And Shimshon went down Timnah and saw a woman in Timnah of the daughters of took the honey out of the carcass of the lion. So his father went down to the woman, and Shimshon gave a feast there, for young men used to do so. And it came to be, when they saw him, that they brought 30 companions to be with him. And Shimshon said to them, Please, let me put forth a riddle to you. If you clearly solve and explain it to me within 7 days of the feast, then I shall give you 30 linen garments and 30 changes of garments. But if you are unable to explain it to me, then you shall give me 30 linens of shirts and 30 changes of garments. And they said to him, Put forth your riddle, and let us hear it. And said two of them, Out of the eater came forth food, and out of the strong came forth sweetness. And for these 3 days they were unable to explain the riddle. And it came to be on the 7th day that they said to Shimshon's wife, Entice your husband to explain a riddle to us, or else we burn you and your father's house with fire. Have you invited us to order in order to take what is ours. Is it not? And Shimshon's wife wept before him and said, you only hate me, you do not love me. You have put forth a riddle to the sons of my people, but you have not explained it to me. And he said to her, look, I have not explained it to my father or my mother, and should I explain to you? And she had wept before him 7 days while their feast lasted. And it came to be on the 7th day that he informed her, because she pressed him so much. Then explained the riddle to the sons. She then explained the riddle to the sons of her people. And the men of the city said to him on the 7th day, before the sun went down, what is sweeter than honey, and what is stronger than a lion? And he said to them, if you had not ploughed with my father, you would have not solved my riddle. The work of garment to those who had explained the riddle, and his displeasure burned, and he went back to his father's house, and Shimshon's wife was given to his companion who had been his friend. Shofetim, all Judges chapter number 15, verse number 1. And it came to be after some time, in the days of wheat harvest, that Shimshon visited his wife with a young goat, and he said, let me go on to my wife into her room, but her father would not permit him to go in. And her father said, indeed, I thought that you hated her intensely, so I gave her to your companion. Is not her younger sister better than she? Please take her instead. And Shimshon said to them, this time I am blameless regarding the Philistines if you do evil to them, if I do evil to them. And Shimshon went and caught 300 foxes and took torches and turned them tail to tail, and to put a torch between each pairs of tails, and reached the torches of fire and sent them out into the standing grain of the Philistines, and burned up both the shocks and standing grain, even the vineyards of the olive trees. And the Philistines said, who did this? And they answered, Shimshon, and son-in-law of the Timnite, because he took away his wife and gave her to his companion. Then the Philistines went and burned her and her father with fire. And Shimshon said to them, though you do this, yet I shall take revenge on you, and after that I cease. And he smote them heap and thigh, and great smiting, and went down and dwelt in the cleft of the rock of Etam. And the Philistines then went up and encamped in Yehudah, and spread out against Rehi. And the men of Yehudah said, why have you come up against us? And they answered, we have come up to bind Shimshon, to do him as he has done to us. Then 3,000 men of Yehudah went down to the cleft of the rock of Etam and said to Shimshon, do you know that the Philistines are rulers over us? Why have you done this to us? And he said to them, as they did to me, so I did to them. And they said to him, we have come down to bind you, to give you into the hands of the Rehi. And became the very thirsty, and cried out to Yahweh and said, you have given this great deliverance by the hand of your servant, and now I am to die of the thirst, and fall into the hand of the uncircumcised. And Elohim split the hollow place that is in Rehi, and water came out and drank. And his spirit came back, and he revived. So he called its name Ein Hakore, which is in Rehi to this day. And he ruled Israel 20 years in the days of the Philistines.
Judges chapter number 16. And Shimshon went to Azar and saw a woman there, a whore, and he went into her. And the Azarites saying, Shimshon has come here. So they went round and lay it, and by what you might be bound to humble you. And Shimshon said to her, if they bind me with 7 fresh cords, not yet dried, then I shall be weak and be like any other man. The prince of the Perizzites then brought her 7 fresh cords, not yet dried, and she bound with him with them, while those lying in wait stayed with her in the room. And she said to him, the Perizzites are upon you, Shimshon. But he broke the cords as a strand of yarn breaks when it touches fire. So the secret of his strength remained unknown. And Delilah said to Shimshon, look, you have mocked me and spoken lies to me. Now please reveal to me by what you might be bound. And he said to her, if they bind me tightly with new ropes that have never been used, then I shall be weak and be like any other man. And Delilah took new ropes and bound him with them, and said to him, The Perishites are upon you, Shimshon. And those lying in wait were sitting in the inner room, but he broke them of his arms are like a thread. So Delilah said to Shimshon, Until now you have mocked me and spoken lies to me. Reveal to me how you might be bound. And he said to her, If you weave the 7 rocks of my head with the web. Then she fastened it with the pin, and said to him, The Perishites are upon you, Shimshon. But he awoke from his sleep and pulled out the pin of the room and the web. Then she said to him, How do you say I love you when your heart is not with me? You have mocked me with this 3 times, and have not made known to me where your great strength lies. And it came to be, when she praised him to daily with her words and urged him, so that his being was wearied from him. So the Perishites took him and put out his eyes and brought him down to Asa and bound him with bronze shackles, and he became a greener in the prison. But the hair of his head began to grow again after it had been shaven. And the prince of the Perishites gathered to offer a great slaughtering to Dagon, their mighty one, and to rejoice. And they said, Our mighty one has given Shimshon, our enemy, into our hand. And these people saw him and praised their mighty one, for they said, Our mighty one has given into our hand our enemy, the destroyer of our land, who slew many of us. And it came to be, when their heart were glad, that they said, Call for Shimshon, and let him be the prince of all the people in it. And the dead that he killed at his death were more than he had killed in his life. And his brothers and all his father's household came down and took him, and brought him up, and buried him between Sora and Eshaol in the tomb of his father Manoah. And he had ruled Israel 20 years. Judges chapter number 17. And there was a man from the hill country of Ephraim, whose name was Mikahu. And he said to his brother, The 1,100 pieces of silver that were taken from you, and on which you put a curse, even saying in it my ears, Look, the silver is with me. I took it. And his mother said, Baruch of Yahweh be my son. And he gave back to the 1,100 pieces of silver to his mother. And his mother said, I had truly kadoshed the silver from my hand to Yahweh for my son, to make a carved image and a molded image, and now I give it back to you. And he gave the silver back to his mother, and his mother took 200 pieces of silver and gave them to the silversmith, and he made it into a carved image and a molded image. And they were in the house of Mikahu, and the man Micah had a house of mighty ones, and made a shoulder garment and house idols. And he ordained one of his sons, who became his Kohen. In those days there was no sovereign in Israel. Everyone did what was right in his own eyes. And there was a young man from Bethlehem in Yehudah, of the clan of Yehudah, and he was a Levite, and he was sojourning there. And the man went out of the city of Bethlehem in Yehudah to sojourn wherever he could find a place. And he came to the mountain of Ephraim, to the house of Micah, as he sojourned. And Micah said to him, Where do you come from? And he said to him, I am a Levite from Bethlehem in Yehudah, and I am on my way to find a place to sojourn. And Micah said to him, Dwell with me, and be a father and a Kohen to me. And I said you 10 pieces of silver per year, and allowance of garments and your food. And the Levite went in. And the Levite agreed to dwell with the man, and the young man became like one of his sons to him. Then Micah ordained the Levite, and the young man became his Kohen, and he was in the house of Micah. And Micah said, Now I know that Yahweh does good to me, since I have a Levite as a Kohen. Judges chapter number 18. In those days there was no sovereign in Israel, and in those days the tribe of the Danites was seeking an inheritance from itself to dwell in. From until that day, all the inheritance among the tribes of Israel had not yet fallen to them. And the children of Dan sent 5 men of their clan, brave men from Troa and Eshtaol, to spy out the land and search it. And they said to them, "Go and search the land." So they went to the mountains of Ephraim, to the house of Micah, and spent the night there. And when they were near the house of Micah, they recognized the voice of the young Levite, and turned aside and said to him, "Who brought you here? What are you doing in this place? And what do you have here?" And he said to them, "Micah did such and such for me, and he hired me, and I have become his Kohen." And they said to him, "Please inquire of Elohim, and we shall know whether the journey on which we are going is prosperous." And the Kohen said to them, "Go in peace. Your journey on which you go is before Yahweh." Then the 5 men left and came to Laish, and saw the people who were in their midst, how they dwelt safely according to the rulings of Sidonians, and at rest and unsuspecting. And no one possessing authority in the land was reproaching for any matter, and they were far from the Sidonians, and they had no word with anyone. And the spies came back to their brothers at Sroa and Eshtaol, and their brothers said to them, "What do you say?" And they said, "Arise, and let us go up against them, for we have seen the land, and look, it is very good. And you sit still, do not hesitate to go to enter it in to possess the land. And you go, you are to come to an unsuspecting people, and the land is spacious, for Elohim has given it into your hands, a place in which there is no lack of any matter which is on the earth." And 600 men of the clan of the Danites went from Sora and Eshtaol, armed for battle. And they went up and encamped in Kitha Yeraim in Yehudah. Therefore they call the place Mahanaim Dan to this day. See, it is the west of Kira Yarim. And they passed over from there to the mountain of Ephraim, and came to the house of Micah. And the 5 men who had gone to spy out the land of Laish answered and said to their brothers, "Do you know that there are in this house a shoulder garment, and a house idol, and a carved image, and a molded image? And now you know what to do." And they turned aside there, and came to the house of the young Levite man, and the house of Micah, and greeted him. And 600 men armed for battle, who are of the children of Dan, stood by the entrance of the gate. And the 5 men who had gone to spy out the land went up, and entering there, they took the carved image, and the shoulder garment, and the house idol, and the molded image, while the Kohen stood at the entrance of the gate with 600 men who were armed for battle. And this went into Micah's house, and took the idol, and the shoulder garment, and the house idol, and the molded image. Then the Kohen said to them, "What are you doing?" And they said to him, "Be silent, put your hand over your mouth, and come with us, and be a father and a Kohen to us. It is better for you to be a Kohen to the household of one man, or than you be a Kohen to a tribe and a clan in Israel." And the heart of the Kohen was glad, and he took the shoulder garment, and the house idol, and the carved image, and took his place among the people. And they turned and went, and put the little ones and the livestock and the valuable from there in front of them. And they had gone some distance from the house of Micah, when the men who were in the house near Micah's house gathered together, and overtook the children of Dan, and called out to the children of Dan. So they turned around and said to Micah, "What is the matter, that you have gathered such a company?" And he said, "You have taken away my mighty ones which I made, and the Kohen, and you are raving. Now what more do I have? And what is this say to me? What is the matter?" And the children of Dan said to him, "Do not let your voice be heard among us, lest men bitter or being fall upon you, and you lose your life with the lives of your household." And the children of Dan went their way. And when Micah saw that they were too strong for him, he turned and went back to his house. Then they took what Micah had made, and the Kohen who had belonged to him, and went to Laish, to a people who were at the rest and unsuspecting, and smote them with the edge of the sword, and burned the city with fire. And there was no deliverer, because it was far from Sidon, and they had no word with anyone, and it was in the valley that belongs to Beth Rehob, and they rebuilt the city and dwelt there. And there was called the name of the city Dan, after the name of Dan their father, who was born to Israel. But previously the name of the city was Laish. And the children of Dan put up themselves and the carved image, and Jonathan, son of Gershom, son of Manasseh, and his sons were Kohanim to the tribe of Dan, until the day the land was taken into exile. And they put up for themselves the carved image of Micah, which he had made all the days of that the house of Elohim was in Shiloh.
Judges chapter number 19 from verse number 1. Or Shofetim chapter number 9. And it came to be in those days, when there was no sovereign in Israel, that there was a certain Levite sojourning of the farther side of the mountains of Ephraim, and he took for himself a concubine from Bethlehem, Yehudah, and his concubine committed whoring against him, and went away from him to her father's house and Bethlehem in Yehudah, and he was there 4 months, and her husband arose and went after her to speak to her heart and bring her back, having his servant and a couple of donkeys with him. And she brought him into her father's house, and the father of the young woman saw him and was glad to meet him. And his father-in-law, the young woman's father, detained him, and he dwelt with him 3 days, and they ate and drank and spent the night there. And it came to be on the 4th day that they arose early in the morning, and he prepared to leave. But the young woman's father said to his son-in-law, refresh your heart with a piece of bread, and afterward you go your way. So they sat down, and the two of them ate and drank together. And the young woman's father said to the man, please agree to stay all night, and let your heart be glad. And when the man arose to go to his father-in-law, urged him, and so he spent the night there again. And he arose early in the morning on the 5th day to go on. But the young woman's father said, please refresh your heart. So they delayed until afternoon, and both of them ate. And the man arose to go, and his concubine and his servant. But his father-in-law, the young woman's father, said to him, see, the day is now drawing toward evening. Please spend the night. See, the day is coming to an end. Stay here and let your heart be glad, and you shall rise early tomorrow for the journey, and you shall go to your tent. But the man will not stay that night. And he arose on the left and came to place opposite Yebus, and that is Jerusalem. And with him were the 2 saddle donkeys, and his concubine with him. They were near Yebus, and the day was fast spent. And the servant said to his master, come, please let us turn aside into the city of the Jebusites, and spend the night in it. And his master said to him, let us not turn aside here into a city of foreigners, who are not of the children of Israel, but shall pass over to Gibeah. And he said to his servant, come, let us draw near to the one of these places, and spend the night in Gibeah in Lama. And they passed over and went their way, and the sun went down on them near Gibeah, which belongs to Benjamin, and they turned off then to go into and spend the night in Gibeah. So he went in, and he sat down in the open square of the city, for no one will take them into his house to spend the night. But see, an old man came in from his work into the field at evening, who also was from the mountains of Ephraim, and he was sojourning in Gibeah, whereas this man, as the priests were Benjamites. And when he lifted up his eyes, he saw the traveler in the open square of the city. And the old man said, where are you going, and where do you come from? And he said to him, we are passing over from Bethlehem in Yehudah to the other side of the mountains of Ephraim. I am from there, and went into Bethlehem in Yehudah, and I am going to the house of Yahweh, but there is no one taking me into his house. Yet there is both a straw of the folder for our donkeys, and bread of the wine for myself and for your female servant, and for the young man who is with your servant. There is no lack of any matter. And the old man said, Peace be with you. However, let all your needs be on me. Only to spend. Do not spend the night in the open square. And brought him into the house, and gave fodder to the donkeys, and they washed their feet, and ate and drank. And they were making their hearts glad. And see, the men of the city, sons of Belial, surrounded the house, beating on the door. And they spoke to the master of the house, the old man, saying, Bring out the man who came into your house, so that we know him. But the master of the house, went out to them and said to them, No, my brothers, beg you, do no evil. Since this man has come into my house, do not do this foray. Look, here is a maiden, a daughter, and the man's concubine. Let me bring them out now and humble them, and do with them what is good for your eyes, but do not such a foolish matter to this man. But the men would not listen to him. So the man took his concubine and brought her out of them, and they knew her, and rolled themselves on her, and all night until morning, and left her go when the day began to break. And as morning appeared to the woman, came back and fell at the door of the man's house where her master was, till it was right. And her master rose up in the morning and opened the doors and the house of the house, and went to go in his way, and saw his concubine falling at the door of the house with her hands on the threshold. And he said to her, Rise up and let us go. But there was no answer. Then he took on her the donkey, and the man rose and went to his place, and came into his house, and took a knife. Then he laid hold of his concubine, and cut her up her limb by limb into 12 pieces, and sent her throughout all the borders of Israel. And it came to be that all who saw it said, There has never been, and there has not been seen the like of this, from the day that the children of Israel came out from the land of Mizraim until this day. Consider it, take counsel, and speak up. Judges chapter number 20, verse number 1. And all the children of Israel came out from Dan to Beersheba, and from the land of Gilead, and the congregation assembled as one man before Yahweh at Mizpah. And the leaders of all the people and all the tribes of Israel presented themselves in the assembly of all the people of Elohim, 400,000 foot soldiers who drew them the sword. And the children of Benjamin had the children of Israel had gone up to Mizpah, and the children of Israel said, Speak now, how did this evil come about? And the man of the Levite husband of the woman who was murdered answered and said, My concubine and I went to Gibeah, which belongs to Benjamin, to spend the night. And the masters of Gibeah rose against me, and surrounded the house at night because of me. They thought to kill me, but instead they humbled my concubine, and she died. Then I took my concubine and cut her in pieces, and sent her throughout all the land of the inheritance of Israel, because they committed the wickedness and folly in Israel. Look, you are the children of Israel. Speak and give your counsel here. And all the people rose as one man, saying, Let not one of us go to his tent, nor any of us turn back to his house. And now this is what we do to Gibeah. Go against it by lot. And we shall take 10 men out of every 100 throughout all the tribes of Israel, and 100 out of every 1,000, and 1,000 out of every 1,000, to make the food for the people, to prepare for them going to Gibeah in Benjamin, for all the foray they did in Israel. And all the men of Israel were gathered against the city night together as one man. And the tribes of Israel sent men through all the tribe of Benjamin, saying, What is this evil that has come about among you? And now give us the men, the sons of Belial, who are in Gibeah, so that we put them to death, and put away evil from Israel. But the children of Benjamin will not listen to the voice of their brothers, the children of Israel. So the children of Benjamin gathered together from their cities to Gibeah, to go to battle against the children of Israel, and from their cities. And at that time the children of Benjamin registered 26,000 men who drew the sword, beside the inhabitants of Gibeah, who registered 700 chosen men. Among all this, there were 700 chosen men who were left-handed. Each one could sling a stone at a hair's breadth and non-miss. And besides Benjamin, the men of Israel registered 400,000 men who drew the sword, and all of these were men of battle. And the children of Israel were up and went up to Bethel to ask of Elohim, and they said, Who of us go to first to battle against the children of Benjamin? And Yahweh said to Yehuda, fast. And the children of Israel rose up in the morning and encamped against Gibeah, and the men of Israel went out to battle against Benjamin, and the men of Israel put themselves in battle array in the fighting against that at Gibeah, and the children of Benjamin came out of Gibeah, and on that day cut down to the ground 22,000 men of the Israelites. But the people of the men of Israel strengthened themselves and again formed the battle line, and at that place where they had put themselves in array on the first day. And the children of Israel went up and wept before Yahweh until evening, and asked Yahweh, saying, should I go draw near for the battle against the children of my brother Benjamin? And Yahweh said, go up against him. And the children of Israel drew near to the children of Benjamin on the second day, and Benjamin went up against from Gibeah on the second day, and cut down to the ground 18,000 more of the children of Israel. And all these drew the sword. And all the children of Israel, even all the people, went up and came to Bethel and El, and wept and sat there before Yahweh, and fasted that day until evening. And they offered burnt offerings and peace offerings before Yahweh. And the children of Israel asked of Yahweh. The ark of the covenant of Elohim was there in those days. And the Phinehas, the son of Eleazar, son of Aaron, stood before it those days, saying, should I yet again go out to battle against the children of my brother Benjamin, or should I cease? And Yahweh said, go up, for tomorrow I give them into your hand. And Israel put ambushes all around Gibeah. And the children of Israel went up against the children of Benjamin on the third day, and put themselves in battle array against Gibeah as that of the other times. And the children of Benjamin kept up to meet the people, drawn away from the city, and they began to smite some of the people, slaying as at the other times in the highway, of which the one went up to Bethel, and the other to Gibeah in the field, about 30 men of Israel. And the children of Benjamin said, they are going to be smitten before us as previously. But the children of Israel said, let us free and draw them away from the city to the highways. And all the men of Israel rose up from their places and put themselves in the battle array to Baal Tamar. And the ambush of Israel broke forth from their position of Maregeba, and 10,000 chosen men from all Israel came against Gibeah. At the battle was feast, but they did not know the calamity was close to them. And Yahweh smote Benjamin before Israel, and the children of Israel destroyed 25,100 men on that day. On Benjamin all these drew the sword. And the children of Benjamin saw that they were smitten. And the men of Israel had given ground to the Benjamites, because they trusted in the ambush that they had put against Gibeah. And the ambush hurried, and came smoke rise up from the city. And the men of the cities then the men of Israel would turn in battle, and Benjamin began to smite dead about 30 of the men of Israel, for they said, they are indeed smitten before us as the first battle. Then the crowd began to rise from the city in a column of the smoke on the Benjamites. Look behind them, and saw the entire city up in it. And there fell of Benjamite 18,000 men. Of all these were mighty men, and they turned and fled toward the wilderness into the rock of Rimmon, and they cut down 5,000 then on the highways, and followed after them up to Gidom, and smote 2,000 of them. And all who fell of Benjamin on that day were 25,000 men who drew the sword. Of all these were mighty men, but 600 men turned and fled towards the wilderness to the rock of Rimmon, and they dwelt at the rock of Rimmon for 4 months. And the men of Israel turned back against the children of Benjamin, and smote them with the edge of the sword from every city, men and beasts, and all who were found. And they lit fire to all the cities they came to.
Judges chapter 21. Now the men of Israel had sworn in Mizpah, saying, there shall not any of us give his daughter. And they wept so, and said, O Yahweh Elohim of Israel, why is this come to pass in Israel, that there should be a day one tribe lacking in Israel? And it came to pass on the morrow that the people rose early, and built there an altar, and offered burnt offering and peace offering. And the children of Israel said, who is there among all tribes of Israel that came not up with the congregation unto Yahweh? For they have made a great oath concerning him that came not up to Yahweh to Mizpah, saying, he shall surely be put to death. And the children of Israel repented them for Benjamin, their brothers, and said, there is one tribe cut off from Israel by lying with any male. And they brought them unto the camp of Shiloh, which is in the land of Canaan. And the whole congregation sent some to speak to the children of Benjamin that were in the rock Hinnon, to call peaceable unto them. And Benjamin came again at that time, that they gave them wives which they had saved alive of the women of Jabesh Gilead, and yet they suffered them not. And the people repented them for Benjamin, because that Yahweh had made a breach on the tribe of Israel. Then the elders of the congregation said, how shall we do for wives of them that remain, seeing the women are destroyed out of Benjamin? And they said, they must be an inheritance for them that be escaped of Benjamin, that a tribe be not destroyed out of Israel. Howbeit we may not give them wives of our daughter, for the children of Israel have sworn, saying, cursed be he that gives a wife to Benjamin. Then they said, behold, there is a feast of Yahweh in Shiloh yearly, in a place which is on the north of the side of Bethel, on the east side of the highway that goes from Bethlehem to Shechem, and on the south of Lebanon. Therefore they commanded the children of Benjamin, saying, go and lie in wait in the vineyards, and see, and behold, if the daughters of Shiloh come out to dance in dances, then come you out of the vineyards, and catch you every man his wife of the daughter of Shiloh, and go to the land of Benjamin. And it shall be, when their fathers of their brethren come unto us to complain, that we will say unto them, be favorable unto them for their sake, because